I like to stay busy and I like to keep a lot on my plate. I am somebody that has this YouTube channel and I make videos every single day for that. I work in consulting. I have a Turo fleet. I'm also training for an ultra marathon. So I like to keep my schedule jam-packed. And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about the fact that I have so much to do because that's the way that I prefer it. I like to keep my schedule filled. I like to stay productive. I like to have a lot of things going on. But because of the fact that I have so many different things going on in kind of so many different directions, it can sometimes get tricky to manage my time as efficiently as possible so that I not only have time to complete everything that needs to get done in my work life, but I also have time to complete everything that needs to get done in my personal life as well. So today I want to talk to you guys about how I manage my time and how I manage my tasks in order to fit 26 hours worth of work into a 24-hour-a-day time period. So let's get started. Now, we all have 24 hours a day to get our tasks done in order to have a social life, in order to get our home stuff done, in order to get our work done. We all have the same amount of time to work with, and that is consistent across the board. But what differentiates productive people from non-productive people are really how they spend those days. And for me, the way that I structure my day has really been a game changer on my ability to optimize my time and to really kind of spread myself as wide as possible. For example, for me, I have my Turo business, I have YouTube, I work in consulting, I work in freelancing. I have 4 to 5 different streams of income at any given time. And that can sometimes get really hard in order to manage because I have so many different people expecting so many different things out of me. I'm also training for an ultra marathon, which means that I'm running between 40 and 50 miles per week, sometimes more. I also have 2 dogs in a house, and of course there is stuff that needs to get done with them. For example, yesterday I was at the vet for 2 hours, taking them to get their yearly checkup. And of course, you guys know that I also have the van parked in my backyard, which I'm currently converting to a camper van. So I have a lot going on at any given time. And again, I'm not complaining about this because this is the way that I prefer it, but I definitely think that I have to strategically plan my days and my weeks and my months in order to make sure that every task gets done in the time frame it needs to get completed in. So with that, let's dig into the first tip. So my number 1 tip for fitting 26 hours of work in a 24-hour-a-day time period is, you guessed it, to-do lists. This is something that I have preached on this channel over and over again, and I will continue to preach it as long as this channel exists. Planning out your day with to-do lists is an absolute game changer. For me, I use a spiral notebook exactly like this. You can see I spilled coffee on mine this morning, and every single day I start my day by writing out what needs to get done for that day. Sometimes I'll do it the day before, but more often than not, I'll do it in the morning. This is my roadmap for the day and what needs to be accomplished and what needs to be done by the time I go to sleep. Now, sometimes I don't finish the to-do list, and that's okay, but then that gives me a roadmap for what I need to do the next day as well. To-do lists are so important because they add structure to your day, they allow for you to remember what needs to get completed, and it's also just a way to have today's tasks right in front of you in a written format. I highly encourage that if you're somebody who hasn't done to-do lists in the past or you haven't written down the tasks that need to be completed, to really adopt that habit. And it doesn't have to be in an old school spiral notebook like this. You could do it on your laptop, you could do it on your phone, you could do it on sticky notes. Whatever the case is, writing it down is, in my opinion, one of the only ways to remember it. You can tell yourself that you'll remember it in your mind, but chances are a million different things happen in our day-to-day lives, and something could happen to make you forget what needed to get done. If you write it down, you won't forget it, and you'll have a higher likelihood of getting those tasks done at the end of the day. So that is my number 1 tip. If you want to have a productive day, write out your to-do lists. My second piece of advice is to get your most important tasks done first thing in the morning. This is something that I learned from the former CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, and it's something that I heard on a podcast quite a while ago. And he had said in the podcast that he structures his day from 6 a.m. until 1 p.m. That's pretty much his entirety of his structured workday. And the reason for this is that he knows from 6 a.m. until 1 p.m. he is going to be able to stay focused on the tasks that he needs to get completed. He can create a to-do list, and he knows that he will have the quietness, the peacefulness, the solitude in order to complete those tasks efficiently. But he also knows that once 1 p.m. hits, everybody else is awake in the world, things start coming up, emergencies start happening, fires need to be put out, and as a result, adding structure to his afternoon has proven to be less effective because he knows that other things are going to end up taking priority. So his outlook on it is get as much done before 1 p.m. as you can, and then take the rest of the day step by step. I started doing this exact same thing shortly after I heard him say that in the podcast, and for me, it's been pretty life-changing. I wake up between 5 and 6 a.m. most mornings. Some mornings I wake up a little later, but more often than not, it's sometime between 5 and 6 in the morning. And for me, I found that my most productive portion of the day is from 5 a.m. whenever I wake up till about 10 a.m. in the morning. This is a period of time where a lot of people are still asleep. People on the West Coast are still asleep, there are some people on the East Coast still asleep, and people on Central Time are still asleep as well. By 10 o'clock in the morning, everybody's awake, everybody's starting their day, and everybody's getting going. But before that time, people are still getting in the swing of the day, and as a result, you can almost guarantee that you will have an uninterrupted 4 to 5 hours in the morning to get your work done. I oftentimes get more done between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. than I do from 10 a.m. until 10 p.m. It's just a highly productive, highly condensed and focused 5 hours of time that I really value, and I really accredit to the fact that I'm able to stay so productive. And it doesn't have to be in the mornings, because some people are not morning people, and that's okay. So if you're somebody who's more of a night owl and you prefer to stay up later, then maybe instead of having your focus time period be from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m., maybe it's from 10 p.m. until 2 a.m., or maybe it's from 9 p.m. until 1 a.m. Whatever the case is, finding that highly structured, focused time period where you can work uninterrupted is a game changer to overall productivity. And whatever time that is for you, I highly encourage you to carve it out in your schedule and allow yourself to have that time to complete your must-needed tasks. My next tip is kind of on the same point as before, and that is to add structure to your day. There are some people that thrive on structure, and there's some people that prefer to have a less structured work environment. And I am certainly one of those people that really thrives on structure. So this tip may be a bit biased, but I think that structure in some way, shape, or form is super important to staying productive and efficient and really making the most of every single day. Going to bed the exact same time every night, waking up in the morning at the same time, having a workout routine, knowing what time you're going to be eating and having a rough idea of what you're going to eat, having an idea of what your work schedule is going to look like day in and day out. For me, for example, I wake up at 5 a.m. and between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. I get the tasks that need to get completed most. And with those include my priority to do items, it includes going for a run, and then it includes getting started for my day. Between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., I get a lot of consulting work done. Around 1 p.m. every day, I eat lunch. And then from 2 p.m. until about 7 or 8 p.m., I'm working on other tasks. That is a rough outline of what my day looks like day in and day out. And of course, that is definitely an oversimplified schedule of my day-to-day life. But for the most part, the structures of my day are the exact same every single day. And for me, that has helped me to be able to stay efficient, to be able to stay productive, and to be able to make the most out of every single day. It's allowed for me to, manage 4 to 5 income streams, to have my Turo fleet, to train for my ultra, and to not really feel like I'm putting that much on my plate. Now, of course, I do have those days where things start to feel overwhelming and I start to feel like I am getting stretched a bit too thin, but for the most part, I'm able to manage my time because of the fact that there is so much structure, that I know where I can fit tasks in and where I can't. And I know whenever tasks are starting to become too overwhelming because I know the structure of my day and I know what I can and cannot take on. I think that adding structure to your day, especially now from the work from home environment, can really help people stay more productive, stay more efficient, and get tasks done without feeling overwhelmed in the process. My next tip is to batch similar tasks together. And what I mean by that is that I think one of the most inefficiencies that somebody can have in their day is running around, going from emails and then running errands and then going back home and doing more emails and then filing reports and then doing this, then going back to the reports. I think that whenever people are all over the place running around like a chicken with their head cut off, that's where there is so much inefficiencies in their day. For me personally, batching similar tasks together and completing those at once has really allowed for me to get a lot done in a short period of time. For example, if I have desk work and I need to do work on my computer sitting at my desk, I will figure out all of the desk work that I need to do for that day, and I will try to do all of that in a 3 to 4 hour period of time. This could include responding to emails, making reports, doing Turo tasks, whatever the case is. If I have to sit at a desk, I will try to do that all at once. The reason is because for me, it takes me a while to kind of get in the groove of doing one single task. I'm not somebody who can sit at my desk for an hour, go run errands, come back and be just as focused as I was before. I get in the groove and then I want to stay in that groove until the task is fully completed. And that's how I've been able to kind of stay efficient. But it isn't just limited to, desk work. It can be anything. For me, with my Turo fleet, if I have work that needs to be done on the cars, I'll make sure to do all of that at once, because once I'm in the groove of fixing cars, it's easy to get done quicker. I'm warmed up, I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to get the task completed. It's like if you were running errands and you had to go to Target and you had to go to CVS, then you had to go to Walmart and then Whole Foods, it wouldn't make sense for you to go to Walmart and then go home. and then go to CVS and then go back home, and then go to Whole Foods and then go back home? Of course not. That would be a huge waste of time. Instead, you would run all of those errands while you were out and about. Well, the same thing can be said with work, is that I think that a lot of people end up wasting a lot of time whenever they're jumping from task to task to task. Instead, I think it's much easier and much more efficient to complete similar tasks at once and then move on from subject to subject. Move on from desk work to then maybe homework to then maybe like reports that need to be filed, whatever the case is. For me, batching my work in sections, then completing them section by section has allowed for me to stay efficient, to stay organized, and to stay highly productive. I think productivity and getting a lot done in a single day is an interesting topic because I think so often people resort to either waking up earlier or staying up later. And though I do think that staying up later and waking up earlier can oftentimes be the solution to somebody's problem, I also think that you can only wake up so early and you can only go to bed so late. For me, I need 8 hours of sleep because if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, I'm an absolute zombie, I'm tired, I'm cranky, I'm a mess, and there is nothing worse for your efficiency than being all of those things. So for me, I know that I physically cannot go to bed much later than I'm already going to bed, and I can't wake up much earlier than I'm already waking up. And so instead of trying to lengthen my days by just staying awake longer, I try to lengthen my days by just staying as efficient as possible and really making as much as I can out of the hours that I'm awake in a day. Cutting the time that you're asleep isn't always the answer, and instead, oftentimes people can find inefficiencies in just how they're operating on a day-to-day basis. That is certainly what has happened to me and what has allowed for me to stay as efficient as possible and has allowed for me to fit 26 hours of work in a 24-hour period of time. So with it being said, you guys, I would love to hear your thoughts. What are some things that you do on a day-by-day basis to stay as efficient as possible? Are there any points in this video that you disagree with, that you agree with? I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.